In OS X, they introduced the Core Audio and Core Midi system. Logic Pro 7 utilizes that Core Audio and Core Midi system. So let's look at the operating system. In the Finder, we'll go to the Utilities folder. Inside the Utilities folder, you'll find an Audio MIDI setup. Go ahead and launch the setup. First of all, in the audio setup, it gives you a chance to configure the audio device. In this case, I'm using an AK5370 as my default input, which is the microphone I'm using now. I also have built-in audio and eyesight as a default input option. For default output, I only have built-in audio. If you're using a third-party product, you can configure that third-party product with Core Audio drivers in the Audio MIDI setup. If you choose to change the default output and system output to the third-party product, this will allow every application that utilizes Core Audio and MIDI to use that audio interface. For instance, all the applications including iTunes, GarageBand, DVD player, will then use that audio card as the audio input and output. Next is the MIDI devices. Here, it allows you to configure your MIDI device. Now I'm using a Remote 25, which at this point is not connected. If it is connected, it would be in blue. To add new devices or rescan, just press the Rescan button. This will rescan for all connected interfaces attached. You can also test the setup, which will test the different sounds. If you're using a keyboard with piano or sounds in it, triggering this will actually play the sounds in that keyboard. New to Tiger was an option to aggregate an audio device. In the audio device setup, click Audio and open up the Aggravated Device Editor. What this allows you to do is connect multiple audio interfaces at once to the Macintosh and configure them as one single device. For instance, if you had a Mo2 and then you had something else like an RME or some other product and you connected it and they were both FireWire, you would be able to use both at once. Depending on the manufacturer and the driver software will depend if it does work in the aggregate device setup. This information in the Core Audio and MIDI setup is saved in the Preferences folder of the user. If you ever have troubleshooting issues, remove the preferences from the library for the Audio MIDI setup and rerun the application. Reconfigure your actual setup and retry.